How's everybody doing today? Hey, Francis, Ray, Mike. Hey, Don, Surjit, Dennis, George, Raymond, Vadim, Craig, John. Hey, Tom, Pep, Mr. Blockland, Harold. Yeah, I'm good. I'm just tired. I was working on this stuff till 3 a.m. Ah, but it's done. Hey, Adriana, Kirk, Darcy, Darren. All right. All right. I've got both the chats open. I got Slack and Zoom. There is a Q&A box, but use that only if you've put a question in the chat and I didn't see it. All right, let's start with this. Have any of you had any errors pop up when you tried to open these new workspaces? And if so, what was the error? Has Bloodhound thrown an error for you? For anyone? Nice. Finally. Can you just remember what the name of the error was, Tom? Was it object reference error? Yeah, so if you have some workspaces, if you have some old files that were created with a previous version of NinjaTrader, or even if you have some of those old templates that I had, I think the backups folders are fine. Let me show you this real quick because there is a new version of Bloodhound and BlackBird which fixes all of these problems. And I included the link directly to this in the email before the one last night. So installation, licensing, and updates. If you see right here, and I'll put this in the chat, this is the version that you must use now. So, if you haven't paid for the yearly maintenance fee or whatever, and you can't run this one, you'll have to run this one if you're wanting to use these Bloodhound and BlackBird templates. They might open up with a previous version, but you're going to have errors and just some really strange behavior. So this fixes a lot of problems. And I included a link to the change log, which I think is right here. Yeah. Change log. So a ton of fixes for Bloodhound. I was thinking a lot of it was just BlackBird, but it was the way BlackBird was interacting with Bloodhound. So a lot of multiple time frame issues, deadlocks with threading. This was a big one for me, which would crash BlackBird. So I have a pretty big template, Bloodhound template inside of BlackBird. And before I was using one template for the entry and then another template for not a full exit, but a rule for a trailing stop, so that when that quote unquote exit signal fired, the stop would tighten up, pretty tight, but still give it enough room to keep going if it were to blow right through that area. So this fixed that. Yeah, market replay issues with basically the market replay was tied to the PC clock and not the market replay clock. So the throttling, where you would only allow like 4 ticks per second to be processed, that was creating some weird signals in market replay. This was a big one. I think there is one more, but you guys probably won't experience it unless you're actually building templates. Yeah, so a few more. So a lot of major fixes. Let me just give you this changelog page too. All right, so that's the version you have to have there, this latest version. And again, it's version 18.9.11. 18.9.11. So that's the one that you really have to run for all this to work properly. All right, so I actually have all of the workspaces open right now. And the size of these templates, let me just show you real quick, is pretty massive. And undoubtedly, I got out of control with this, but this is for a couple of different entries. I'm not basically what I've done here. So let me just kind of tell you the plan. So a lot of people have been wanting for a long time some really fast workspaces for day trading, which, to be honest with you, I'm not very thrilled about personally. I'm more interested in swing trading or just focusing on some of the larger charts and not getting so, into too much detail with some of these faster charts. But a lot of people have asked for it, so that's what I did. And the next step is to create some swing trading workspaces, or at least a larger set where like the smallest chart would be a 5-minute chart. So what I have now is just for very fast setups, for intraday setups. And you might not even get one a day. Still probably getting too many. I didn't slim it down so much where the signals that would be produced would be, much more precise and accurate, because then you would only get maybe 1 or 2 a market per week. So I wanted to at least release something that you could let run. I mean, this is not an automated system that you're going to turn on, flip a switch, and start raking in cash like an ATM machine or something. That's not what this is. This is designed first and foremost as a type of a teaching aid once I actually get some documentation for it. But it's not a fully automated system that you're going to turn on and immediately make money with. I wanted to not limit it so much that you would only get a couple of signals here and there, but get a couple per day per market, so you can get familiar with it, how it works, and how BlackBird works with it. And BlackBird is really the most important component as far as I'm concerned, because of the trailing stops and order management rules that I have in there. So I went pretty far in BlackBird in those trade management templates, and that's really the most important part of this setup here is with BlackBird. So that even if you're not using the entry template to enter the orders automatically, which honestly I wouldn't want to do if I'm trading live, but then again, you shouldn't be trading live with BlackBird yet anyhow. I know he released it, but it's still, I'm still not 100% sure that there aren't going to be some strange things that happen with a live account. I mean, it seems to be fine with a sim account and in market replay, but I wouldn't trust it so far that I would be trading it in a live account just yet. All right, so anyhow, this is the entry, quote unquote entry, just to show you some automated signals at least. And then this is, I've got it broken down into 2 exit templates. There's exit 1 and exit 2. And I'll go over the rules of how I set up the charts here in a minute. So this is all volume. It's all it is. It's all volume signals. The entry, I do have some trend definitions here. I've redesigned this so many times. Trend is, to do it properly, I need the indicator copier, the indicator reader. So this is, how do you define trend? Trend is defined by the time frame that you're on, that you're looking at, right? If you want to use higher highs and higher lows, or lower highs and lower lows, or a moving average, or in this case, I'm using some Donchian channels, the midpoint of the session, which is the session median, And I'll go over the free indicators that are a part of this now. And then these super trend indicators, which is another free indicator from Harry from Fat Tails on Futures. What is it? Lizardindicators.com. So that's just a free indicator from him, and it's basically built from it's like a, how do you call it, a moving median with a ADX filter. It's an ADX VMA, and it's like the typical kind of trailing stop. Yeah, well, it's a little bit more advanced than the typical. So that's, I mean, I had this massive thing built out for trend, and it was really overkill, and it was really heavy. Took a little while to load. To make this thing to the point to where it's actually closer to a fully automated system that I would probably let run, each of these different trades would need its own set of conditions to identify direction, which direction is allowed. But I'm going to show you how to enable it in BlackBird so that you can control, when you want to turn it on for long or short or whatever. You could connect this. I don't think it's, all that accurate, really. It's kind of I don't know, there's not enough specificity for the different trade types that I have defined here. So it's just kind of a one size fits all, but it really doesn't fit all kind of a thing. So at any rate, the trailing rules that I have, maybe we'll get into that in a minute, but these two exits, I'll at least kind of define what I'm talking about. These two exits are used as triggers for some of the trailing stops that I have built out in BlackBird. So I'm diagramming those out in kind of not really a mind map. It's more of like it kind of looks like this in something called Lucid Charts. It's kind of sort of like a mind map, but it's a sequence to show you when the different trailing rules go into action and why. I have it sort of defined in there in BlackBird. Just you could read it and kind of understand it a little bit, but we'll go over the details of that today. And then I'll make a very short, succinct video once I'm done with this diagram. So that's what these little exits are for. I don't have a full stop exit where if the signal fires, it immediately closes. I will have that, but I would have been at this for whatever, I don't even know, 10 hours a day for the rest of my life before I released it. But if I was going to release it where I was completely comfortable with it, it would be released next year. I had to stop somewhere, and this is where I stopped. But I will say the trailing stops are above and beyond anything I think anyone has ever done for NinjaTrader or BlackBird. So you definitely have your money's worth here for sure. Let me do this. I'm going to take some questions because I've seen about 100 fly in here. And then I'm going to go over the indicators that are on the charts, the free ones, and why I'm using which one. Before I do that, some of you guys are saying you're not seeing any signals. All of that is governed by this right here. This is the reader manager. So you absolutely must run the new installer. So the latest installer is from the 13th. Let me just show you this real fast. So if you installed the workspaces and the templates without actually installing the latest version, well, you're going to have a problem. And don't worry if you did, it's not a big deal to just reinstall it. All you have to do is close everything down and just simply click on those buttons again. A lot of people seem to really get bent out of shape when there's an update, but really all it is uninstalling and reinstalling, because there aren't any workspaces or templates or anything like that inside the actual installer. So all the installers are doing are replacing DLLs. So it's the same thing here, but the account that I'm logged in with doesn't show the downloads for the volume analyst, but this is going to look pretty much the same where when you go to the downloads and installation page, you have these tabs here. Down here with the volume analyst, let me just log out and log in with a proper account so I can show you both. And I'll get to your questions. You don't have to be too worried. I'm going to answer all of your questions today. And you absolutely should not be trading this with a live account. If you think you're going to do that and make money, you are 100% dead wrong about that. This is not a fully automated system that you're going to flip a switch and make a bunch of money. It's not what this is. So Master Suite Ultimate downloads and installation. NinjaTrader 8 on the right, NinjaTrader 7 on the left. You click on Volume Analyst, row bars, and free indicators. And you want to download all three of those. There's a major update to the row bars for the functionality of it. I found an issue this morning though. So one of the things that it should be doing, I don't know if it's doing the opposite, but it's not doing exactly what I had spec'd out. So there's still one little issue with that, but go ahead and use it because it's got a couple of other fixes in it as well. So download all three of these, which is from the 13th. So this is 1/8, which is 2018, 09, which is September, 1/3, which is the 13th. Year, month, day. Okay. And this is the version of Bloodhound and Blackbird. So download each of those. Really, you don't even have to uninstall the previous ones, but I think it's best practice to, in my opinion, just because of weird stuff that can happen with the registry. I always restart my computer after I uninstall. So I'll uninstall, restart my computer, and then reinstall the new installers. That's not really absolutely necessary, but for me, I've had such a hard time with computers and different programs causing issues that it's just something I do every time now. Okay, so once you've downloaded those and installed those, then you want to download these workspaces. Okay, I showed you in the email how to do that, but let me just show you right now. So after you've run those installers, I mean, all running the installer is double clicking on it, clicking yes, okay, next, and finish. So pretty simple. But there is a video actually showing you an example with one of the installers. They're all the same. So I extract it. This is downloading a zip folder because it's an exe. So this will show up potentially, depending upon Windows Defender or whatever antivirus you have, because it's an executable file, which is a .exe file, which is the common executable application file. But there are a lot of downloads that you can get all over the internet. Like if you search for something like TeamViewer, for example, or a number of different applications, if you just search that into your browser in Google, you click on the first page that shows up and you download it and install it, it may look exactly like the developer's website, but in fact, it's not. And they even pay for ads, and Google lets them do that, which is amazing to me, but you're actually installing a virus. They put all these different Trojans and viri, I don't know, viruses inside of these different applications, and then and then you've got some viruses. But this, of course, I don't know how to make a virus or what a Trojan is. So it's all it is workspaces and templates. But it's created with this little 7-zip app for making zip files, but for also doing these little minor executable files. Okay, it's really pretty simple. All you have to do, the reason I put it in that zip was so that you would be able to download it without any of those pop-up messages from Windows Defender or whatever, anything Microsoft or certain antiviruses. So if you just simply extract it probably don't even need to do that. You can just double click on it and then double click on this executable. It'll say, yeah, PC is at risk. No, it's actually not. Just click on more info and run anyway. And then you'll see this little window here. And this is asking you, where do you want to extract the files to? If this seems complicated, you don't want to have to deal with it. You want to just grab the files and move them into the proper folders. In the email that I sent out yesterday, or 7 hours ago, I think it was 3 in the morning, 2:30. I have them all just in a zip folder, and you can unzip it, grab the folders, grab the files, and then move them into the folders. And I'll just show you where those folders are here in a second. So this little button right here will open up your folder browser. And this is all NinjaTrader 8, like it says there in the name, NT8. And you want to do this to wherever you've installed Ninja 8. For most of us, if you're not actually installing it into a different location or some other drive on your computer, the vast majority of you will have Ninja 8 in your documents folder. So my documents and then Ninja 8, and that's it. Don't select any of these other folders, just Ninja 8, and then click OK. And when I do that, and then click on extract, if I have those files already in there, it's going to ask me if I want to replace them. Ninja 7 or Ninja 8 needs to be closed if you're replacing them. I have all mine open, so I'm obviously not going to overwrite them because they're the same exact files, aside from me adding the toolbar to the few charts. But for those of you that are starting, from scratch, even if you're not starting from it, even if you've modified your old workspaces, use these new workspaces. You can apply whatever chart templates that you have from your other workspaces. You could save them as chart templates and then apply them to these new charts, but use these new workspaces because then everything is 100% for sure linked up properly. And all the chart IDs are all the same because I have added different charts. So just click yes to all when you're doing that. And I removed that custom session template, the trading hours template, because some people weren't actually moving that into the folder when they were doing it manually. I replaced it with the CME FX Futures RTH. So the only difference there is 20 minutes. Rather than starting at 7 a.m., it starts at 7:20 Central. So actually, if Christian, you were asking about this, if you go over here to the row bars, because there aren't workspaces for the row bars, then I do have quite a bit of info here on setting up the values of the row bars. But this is a little bit different. This is for the main workspaces that we use in the trading room. So I go into pretty good detail here about how we're doing that for the trading room. I just need to modify that for these workspaces for Ninja 8. And then it'll be a little bit different for the swing trading workspaces. Okay, and then I think for those of you that are actually Master Suite owners, this learning plan is finally starting to shape up, but I need to add the rules and guidelines document. No, okay, it's down here. Anyone that owns the volume analyst within the past year, I think, will also own the row bars. And if you go down here to the row bars and click on understanding row bars, then you have much more detailed information here. And I wrote all this up, I don't know, about 2 weeks ago, I think. So this needs to be updated, which I will do now that we've rolled over. So I'll be sending out new workspaces for Ninja 7 on Monday, hopefully tomorrow, but we'll see how far I can get between today and tomorrow. Kind of sucks working 7 days a week, but what are you going to do? So there's a lot of info here about the bars. So all of you guys should have access to all of this about the row bars charts. If anybody doesn't, write in an email to support, and I'll check that out when we're done.